This is the Leading Ladies Podcast with Karen Gray, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on their road to success, and get exclusive access on how to implement their success into your life and business. The Leading Ladies Podcast is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Karen Gray.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash, and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Leading Ladies, and today we have an inside voice that you may be familiar with, but we're going to have a new conversation about leading ladies with Dr. Julie Ducharme. Julie, thanks so much for being on with us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
We are so excited to talk about leadership, because if anyone knows how to lead as a lady, as a woman in a man's world, that is definitely you. So I am excited to hear, how would you define leadership or a leader? You can pick.
So this is interesting because I've actually just been doing like a series called Leading Like Julie that my team came up with. And we've been talking about different types of leadership style. And of course, I've been referencing people like Simon Sinek and other groups who really hit on something really interesting. So, and it's funny, I actually have a doctorate in leadership, but
so you are the perfect person to have on this topic.
Well, it's just so timely. It's really timely leadership. And when I think about leadership, obviously, first that comes to mind is someone leading a group of people, whether that's an organization or in the military or on a sports team. I got to be captain on my sports team. And so, that was a burden that I carried in. And I got to be chair and dean, right? So that's leadership roles. And I think the just pure definition of leadership, obviously, is someone who is able to lead a group successfully. When I think about men and women leadership, I don't define them as bad or good or either or. I define them as the type of leadership needed in that moment for that, because they're both uniquely different and definitely needed depending on the situation and the people. And so I also believe you can have terrible leaders and you can have good leaders. And usually those terrible leaders really aren't leaders. They're just, and then we have the conversation of manager versus leaders, and how sometimes managers are put into a leadership position when they really should be in a management, and leaders are sometimes in management positions and they need to be in leadership. So when I used to teach, we had a lot of discussion on what's the difference between managers and leaders, and can you be both, and can you be in those positions? How
would you define the difference? Like, what is the biggest difference for you?
Yeah. So managers are really, I feel like, those operational people. They're really good at the operations, the logistics, the rules, making sure that everything processes, right? When you think about a CEO, they usually have their right-hand man or woman, right? It's just really making that happen, right? Because the CEOs are at the top. They've got to stay out of the weeds. That's how I view managers. When I look at leadership, although there are some managerial functions to leadership, you're the person who's inspiring the people. You're creating the culture. You're driving the company. You're looking at the success. And so you're really kind of more in that role versus in the weeds down in it. Now, our small organizations, sometimes CEOs have to be both, right?
Have to be all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the ideal, obviously, leader is someone who can be a manager and also a leader, rare, but it does happen. And so that's how I see the differences really, is that you've got this kind of machine. I look at managers like the machine, right? They're driving, but they're not always great with people, or they're not always good at leading. They're so caught up in the logistics and the drive of it, which you need. And so you need both, but you need to just make sure that the leaders are where they need to be and the managers are where they need to be. And we don't have to push managers into leadership, especially if they don't want it, right? If they love that area. So that's really how I kind of define those.
Yeah, I love that. I also see leaders as having the vision. So when you're wearing your leadership hat, you have the vision of where the company's going, and the managers are in the weeds of how it's getting there. Yeah. And so you're right, you can wear both hats, but they are really two different levels of involvement and energy. And women who lead tend to lead a little bit different, I would say, than perhaps a man does. Has that been your experience? And how would you explain that or define that for those that are listening, so that they can, let's say I'm a male that's in a leadership position, and I want to move some other people from my organization up, and my choice is a female or a male equally qualified. What would be the advantage of moving up a woman into that position over a male if all other things are equal?
Really good question. So obviously it depended on the organization situation, the culture. What I notice about women is that women are more collaborative. So when I'm leading, instead of demanding, because when a leader and a female leader is demanding, they're penalized by both men and women. So even women consider them bossy. Yep. When men are demanding, they're not penalized by women or men. It's an expectation. And this has just been found in like studies that have been happening. So as a woman leader, and I'll give an example of what I do. So if I'm bringing in a group of men to work with me, and very often I was a young female leader over men that were like the age of my father. And that was very intimidating, right? How do you bring one of them in and deal with them if they're not behaving appropriately or if they're not doing their work? So what I would do is I'd come from a collaborative approach, and we find most women do this. So I would say things like, listen, I just really could use your help on this. Could you help me figure out this? Or could you help me do that? Because very rarely does someone go, no, I'm not going to help you. But if I'd come in and say, listen, this is the problem. I need you to do this, this, and this and get it done, I would come off as demanding and bossy. So I find that women, they are more collaborative. They're very loyal. They'll stick it out a lot longer than the average person. They are problem solvers and very intuitive in the sense of like innovative as well, right? Like they're not a straight line thinker. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't men that aren't innovative, but there's a different approach they take to problem solving. And so when I look at, and I have hired men and women, right? I've had to assess all of those. What do I need in the situation? Do I need an innovative entrepreneur in the organization? Do I need a logistical person who can run, all of those things? I look at those, and then I have to look at like, how are they with people? Because if our people don't like them, then we're not going to have success, right? I need a culture. Can they build a positive culture in that? I find that women, and this comes in handy in negotiations, and it's been proven as well in case studies. Women come in, they say, hi, I'd like a raise. Both men and women penalize them, which is crazy to me that women penalize other women for being direct, but they do. Women come in and say, you know what? I really love to stay here. This other company offered me a lot of money, but I really like it here. Do you think you could help me figure out how to stay here and maybe match what this other company is doing? Well, that person's going to go like, well, yeah, let's figure it out versus, hey, I want to raise. I've got another company that's offering me. I'm due it. And what's the deal? Right. So we can't do that. Now, same thing. Now men can go in and ask for raise. Case studies show not penalized by men, not penalized by women. It's a really interesting concept. Yeah. So successful women have learned to be collaborative, to allow, this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it. I think you'll get what I mean because I don't know how to say it, but they allow people to think it's their idea. If that makes sense. And I don't mean that.
I know what you mean.
I don't mean it in a manipulative way, but we have to allow other people to be part of it. And so
have a buy-in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I see the difference with men and women. And it really, for me, someone who has worked for high level organizations and hired both men and women, sometimes I've hired men because I'm like, I feel like for this culture and that group of people, they're going to respond better to this person in the way I approach it. Sometimes I hire women. I feel they're going to respond better. And you really have to look at that. Now, I have worked in mostly male dominated arenas.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the women who have come in, not from who I've hired, but other areas come in. And frankly, I think they take a poor approach. They come in and they're vicious and they're very aggressive, and they think that they need to be even harder on the women than the men. And it just never goes well for them. It backfires on them. And I think in a world where we have so much training about leadership, shouldn't everyone be a good leader? I think there's so much info and training and degrees.
Yeah.
But yet it still happens. And, those are kind of the differences I see. And like I said, it is very subjective. In the military, you're at war, you may need someone yelling at you. And it may need to be an autocratic situation, because I can't speak to that, but that's a very different world. Emergency rooms, doctors, firefighters, police officers, they may need that person at the top directing, because you can't be in the middle of a gunfire. Well, I don't know if I really want to listen to you, right?
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus? What I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
So
I don't feel super confident right now about this negotiation.
Yeah, I feel like because the gun's pointed at me. So those areas might need an autocratic leader that is big and loud and slightly scary, right? Where other situations, and I've had a chance to watch this evolve. I started my first corporate job around 25. I'm 47 now. So I've been able to watch this evolution in the world of corporations and the way that they behave. And it was very autocratic, and now it's really evolved to this flat line, open door policies, CEOs not up here, they're here. I think Zappos has been really great in showing how allowing the employees to embrace and be part of the organization and have some skin in the game and know that they're important, then turn to the successful billion-dollar company. And the CEO sat right in the middle of all of them. No cubicle, nothing, just sat right in the middle of all of them and was part and parcel of the whole idea. But leadership is shifting, and I think a lot of parts it's great. Some parts there still needs some work in there. I'm not a fan of laissez-faire leadership. I think it's too relaxed. I sit right on democratic servant leadership and situational leadership, adaptive leadership, because you've got to adapt to the situation. I think if you can't adapt as a leader, you're going to really struggle.
Yeah. How do you see the AI impacting our leadership in the future? Do you see that will have any impact? And if so, how do we get ahead of that curve to embrace that? Because I see it impacting financial, I see it impacting marketing, advertising, in so many other areas. How will that dictate or impact how we lead organizations?
It's a good question. It's a really hot topic right now. I think when it comes to leadership, one thing we know is that AI can't replace a person.
Right.
And they can come up with scenarios the best they can. But that adaptive leadership I just talked about, that comes from years of experience in the business world, right? If we just look at COVID and what happened with COVID and how many companies had to shift, get creative, get innovative, save the company, AI can't do that for you. I think that's what we have to remember, is that AI is never going to be able to replace the human emotion, the human experience. Even if I poured all of my experience into AI, all it's going to do is analyze it. It's going to look for algorithms. It's going to look for, but it's not going to be able to look at someone who says, comes to me and says, listen, I've got this idea and it's kind of crazy, but I think it might work, right? AI is not going to be able to process that. And so I think we have to remember that. Now, is it going to probably improve the writing and cut down the grammatical errors? Sure.
Sure.
Like, we'll take that all day long.
It may make your letter of resignation better.
Better, your resume better.
Your resume and your resignation.
Yeah.
Got you there.
I mean, will it be that maybe people won't be great writers, but they'll rely on Chat GPT, possibly? I mean, there's a lot of amazing things AI can do. And I think leaders will have to balance that with what can we use it for in the positive way, right? And then how do we make sure we don't get too lost in it? This is the same thing with like Facebook and Instagram and internet, right? There's these amazing things they open up for us, but at the same time, there's some really terrible things that happen. Because anytime something good comes out, like AI, there's going to be someone who's going to try and use it for something bad, take advantage of people. So I think leaders need to find the balance. In the academic world, they're like, oh, we're trying to keep students from doing it. We're doing this tracker to make sure they don't use it. And I was like, you guys should just embrace it. Tell the students, listen, write your paper, use AI to grammar check it, and use it because they're going to use it no matter what. Like, I mean, it's just, it's the new way.
And wouldn't it be better for our teachers to teach them how to utilize it within the safe realms of educational guidance? So, okay, here's your AI. Here's your idea. Here's how AI crafted it. How do you change that? How does this not reflect you? How does it reflect you? And I think that's the same thing I could see that leaders could do is it can help you understand your team better, but it can't teach you how to lead your team. It may tell you, okay, this person might be better in this other position. But if you have a discernment that that's not true, AI doesn't know that. It can't anticipate a pregnancy, one of your leaders getting pregnant and the needs that she's going to have, or an illness. You have someone that's going through cancer. It can't teach you how to do that. Or it can't do it for you. And I think that's where the really great EQ skills of being a great empathetic leader really help us discern and stand out from just an average company who only looks at bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you have to have the balance. I think teachers are going to have to figure that out. I still sit in on a lot of meetings for universities, and the older generation of teachers are trying to combat it. And I, as always, drop in my 2 cents. And I was like, so I'm just going to say, you guys need to embrace it. Give them an assignment which requires them to use it, and give them specific prompts and how to use it, and make them start learning how they can use it, and then make them verify the information. But I think once again, we go back to the adaptive part, right? As leaders, we have to adapt. And I remember when Facebook came out and I was like, oh, this is never going to last. Like, I'm going to stay off of it. And then I finally started having clients going like, could you set me up a Facebook account? Could you help me market? And I was like, I guess I better.
When there was Google searches and we only knew encyclopedias, and now there's wiki searches. And had we not embraced that, we'd still be looking through the, volumes of encyclopedias that they used to go around selling. So
yeah. I mean, I think that's as a leader with anyone, and I really love Conscious Capitalism by John Mackey. The way he built Whole Foods, although kind of a bit of an accident, he embraced understanding, adapting to the world that he was in, making sure that he put back into his employees so that they would do that. And then he also created this culture with the clients and the employees. And so, but he adapted, right? So towards the end of that, he sold Whole Foods to Amazon to add in the technology aspect of it, right? So I can go on Amazon and I can order from Whole Foods and have it delivered to me, right? And he talked about that. It was missing that whole technology piece that he had kept out of it. But because of that, obviously it sold for God knows how much. But he saw that that was the piece that was missing. Even though he created this ongoing culture and people love to go to Whole Foods and all that, there was that aspect. So as a leader, he was very smart to go, okay, I built this as big as I can get it. Now it's time to put in the technology piece. So, Whole Foods still has its on-ground locations and it still has its culture, but they've shifted that. And what a brilliant move by John Mackey, right? To
now you can go to Whole Foods and pay with your hand. It's just insane.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, if you can find that balance right now, I have to say, I hate self-checkout. I hate not having anyone helping me because it's like, you're like, I don't know, what's this thing? I miss bag boys or bag girls who bagged my bags and like would be like, can I help you take the car? And I would be like, yes, I have 2 children with me. Yes. So I miss that because everything's a self-checkout now. Everything's a QR code. In fact, I saw Sarah Blakely posting about this, that like she was trying to figure out how to self-checkout at the airport, and then she got to Go Food and she couldn't, that part I'm not a fan of because I like people and I like connecting. Once again, you use it how you see it. But I think smart leaders are going to keep the connection with their people. As you mentioned, emotional intelligence, empathy have become a required thing in leadership, which it wasn't 20 years ago. It was the opposite. Right. And AI can't provide that empathy for you. And I think if we remember that, when it's all said and done, it's still a machine programmed by someone.
Yeah. And I think that's how women truly can stand out in the crowd of leaders, is that we possess a level of EQ and empathy that is uniquely feminine with that balance of the masculine energy. But I think you model and embody that so well. And I think that's one of my favorite things of watching you lead, is that balance that you have. So as we begin to wrap this up, I just want to say thank you for the example that you are for the next generation, for me watching you now currently, but for the next generation, for your daughter, her friends, my kids, grandkids, people like you that do this right for the right reasons and lead well are changing the game for everybody. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's nothing more fun than getting here and talking with you and seeing how we can impact together. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. Absolutely. And we will call that a wrap, and we will see you on the next episode of Leading Ladies.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best, and grow, scale, and win.
Thanks for listening to the Leading Ladies podcast with Karen Gray. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest best business advice on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God, it's beautiful.